What's up, Stream Team? This is the one and the only Bitstream here to bring you a new update on what we have going on. And today I have a special treat for all my cloud heads out there. We have a service that I have totally been neglecting, that I'm going to give some special love and attention to today, and that is Hashflare. As you can see right there on your screen, we have not really spent any time talking about this particular service. They have just been chugging out Bitcoin consistently ever since I got into them. So today we are going to give them some love and talk about them, and also talk about a recent change of heart that I've had with this particular service as far as my investment strategy. We're going to go through the reasons why, what has changed, and I'm also going to show you some math and some calculations that I have done, and we are going to do the math to support my change of heart. And I'm also going to show you something that I don't think many YouTubers or websites actually really do a good job of showing you, and that is your actual, what am I going to put in my pocket, take home dollar amount after all fees and everything that I am shelling out to access these coins. So before I go ahead and get into that, we are going to ask you to go ahead and give a like to this video. We're going to ask you to share it on your social media. And we're going to ask you to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell so you can be notified of any new uploads. Don't be a like hater, okay? Go ahead and hit the like button right now. Do it. I'm watching you. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So you can see right here, we have been in since the 17th of December. As of the recording of this video, we are at the 29th of December. So we've got about 2 weeks of production under our belts. You can see the amount of Bitcoin we've collected. I believe that's around $220 or something like that at the current price. So previously I stated that I am not going to reinvest in Hashflare due to the recent rise in prices, and I have since reconsidered that position, and I've decided to go ahead and reinvest into Hashflare and build up my hash rate, and so I can go ahead and access that exponential growth, that compounding, and I'm going to explain exactly why if you stay tuned here. But first, you can see, if I go ahead and tick this box right here, I've got my reinvest enabled for SHA-256. So let me go ahead and get into why real quick. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take you over to a website that I found when I was perusing the web, just looking for some information on some calculators and things of that nature to see what am I actually taking home? Because I feel like a lot of YouTubers out there and anybody giving information, they kind of only show your price after the fee, or the maintenance fee, which is about somewhere between 15 and 17%. They'll dump it into that calculator that you always see, and then they'll spit out a nice pretty number, but they usually fail to take into account the cost of getting into the contract in the first place. They'll mention it, but they don't show it in the math. So I want to make sure that I see the actual take-home numbers. And one thing that led me astray as well is I came across another sheet a while ago when I was first getting into Hashflare, and I put in the reinvestment numbers, and basically what it did is it showed my hash rate dying off after my initial investment came due, and it just kind of trickled off into the sunset. But that's actually not the case. If you do 100% reinvestment early on, you should build up enough hash rate to continue to build even after your initial investment comes due and goes away. So I illustrate that right here, so you can see with this particular website, and this is I'll just put the link in the description because it's kind of difficult. you can see the initial TERAHASH purchase right here, and that's the only thing that I entered in. I left the rest of this as is. This is the average price increase over time of Bitcoin, and this is the average increase in difficulty over time as well. And he's got some reasons why he set those metrics the way they are. So I just left them alone and left the reinvestment at 100%. And if you hit calculate, it takes you through a nice amortization of what you can expect day by day as far as how much you're earning. So you can see right here your income level after maintenance, which he also has calculated in here, thank goodness. It's going to be about $11.27 per day. And if I look at my actual account, that is just about correct, because before fees, I'm at about $13.72. So if you take knock about 15-17% off, that's where you would end up if you do the math. And the amount of Bitcoin per day is spot on as well. That is pretty much exactly what I am making per day on my coin, or on my TERAHASH, excuse me. So you can see that's all factored in. The only thing that is not factored in this price in your income is the initial investment, which I have something for that a little bit later. So stay tuned for that. But you can see with our reinvestment, you can see the hash rate building and building and building. And we're just going to skip all the way down here to our year to see kind of where we're at with these assumptions in place. I'm going to go all the way down to 360, well, whatever, January. Fine, 1 year January. So we can see we should actually end up around 160 terahashes after about a year. 150, 160 terahashes with reinvestment, and that is plenty to keep us afloat even after our initial 7 terahashes goes by the wayside. And that is not, unfortunately, the information I saw when I first started. So I'm glad I caught this early on and did not go with my initial assumption that the terahashes would just die off. It's the exact opposite. You just build and build and build. And you can see by this point in the future, we're actually making 0.004 Bitcoin per day. I pay less attention to this because I don't know what the price is going to be. Could be way different than that. I'm just kind of looking at the coin production. So we can see we are building on our coin production a little bit. So you can see we're at 0.004 right here, where we're starting at 0.0009, so almost 0.001. So we are building our coin production over that year just by reinvesting the amount. So I am glad to see that. And then once our initial goes away, if we keep on going into the future, we can see our coin production is still building. So we're at 0.006, we're at 0.007. And I believe if you keep going, you get to the single zero numbers. So like right here, so we're at 0.13 by this point. This is the middle of 2019. So this is if you continuously reinvest and don't touch any of it with the assumptions in place. I do like what I'm seeing with that. So that was about 60 or 70% of my decision to go ahead and start reinvesting. So this kind of got me thinking, okay, so what about the actual equipment fees, or not the equipment fees, but the rental amount that I'm putting down to go ahead and get into these hashes in the first place, because this doesn't really take that into account on a daily earnings basis. And I like to see how much I'm taking home, after everything, after all my costs on a daily basis. So I wanted to average out the amount that I paid and put that into the maintenance cost as well. So I look at it the same kind of way, because it's a cost that I am unable to recoup. So I'm going to go right over here to my fancy, beautiful spreadsheet that I just threw together. And this is where I kind of calculate what my actual put in my pocket take home pay could be with Hashflare. So if I put in my actual number, so I've got 7 terahashes right now, and I pop in how much I actually paid. So I bought it when it was 150 a terahash right before the price increase. We can see that this is my actual number. So if I go to my Hashflare account and compare these numbers to what I'm seeing on the spreadsheet, this is exactly what I see. So I know these numbers are accurate to the T. So what I am looking at here is I've got my cost per terahash. I've got my approximate maintenance percentage, which for me right now is about 17%. This leaves me with a gross profit per terahash of $1.89. And then if I take out the maintenance out of the $1.89, then I'm left with $1.57 after the maintenance fee per terahash. So what I wanted to do is go ahead and include my cost per terahash go ahead and take that out of my daily profit. So if you divide 150 divided by 365 days, you get 41 cents per day. Go ahead and knock that out of our net profits, and we get to a grand total of profit of $1.16 per day per terahash. And then this is just something else. This is, me calculating when I can withdraw if I want to only face like a 1% fee. So that's about $900 right now. But this right here will show me a realistic view of the terahashes that I want to account for and see what kind of profitability I'm in, depending on where my terahashes are and what my actual salary is per year based on my terahashes. So right now I'm at 7 terahashes. That gives me about a net of $8.10 per day. And you can kind of compare that against our Hashflare take right here, which shows 1372 gross. So we know out of that 1372 net, I'm actually netting $8.10 per day. Per week, it's about $56 per month, $246 per month, and on a yearly basis, I am sitting at about $3,000 a year of take-home pay on Hashflare at the current Bitcoin price. And that Bitcoin price will determine what this number is. So this could be a lot more in the future, but this is based on the current price only. So if next year Bitcoin doubles, this number also doubles. So I can also see my gross amount if I don't account for equipment costs and things of that nature. I've got a total take of $4,800, but I don't care about that because I've got to pay. That's not my real number. This is my real number. So right down here, I've got my total return on investment. My actual return on investment is 282%. I've got my profit percent per day. So on my current contracts, I'm making about 0.77% per day. And you can kind of compare that against other lending programs and things of that nature, just to get a real idea and number of what you're looking at, because the difference is the lending programs will give you your initial investment back. This will not. So this percentage right here accounts for the fact that you're not getting your initial cost back. So it's still very comparable to a lending program. It's still very good. This right here tells me how many days until I can hit my withdrawal number that I want to hit, and this tells me how many days until I actually break even. So about 130 days in real life before I actually break even, considering all the cost. Now, if I want to calculate a higher terahash cost or terahash in my bank here, I'm gonna go ahead and pop in. Let's say I want to get to 100 terahashes. Let's see what 100 terahashes really means for my bottom line. And we can see here that we're going to take home a salary of about $42,000 at today's Bitcoin price. So that right there will tell you everything that you need to know as far as 100 terahashes. And I know some people have 1,000 terahashes. So how much are they actually making if you have 1,000 terahashes. So we are looking at a real salary of about $422,000 if you account for all of the cost that goes into getting that 1,000 terahashes. So that is pretty good money right there. Now, I wanted to compare, because I've heard a lot of chatter out there about, you might as well, buy an ant miner or something like that to go ahead and increase your profitability. And that's a fair point. Based on the numbers that I ran and based on the current prices of ant miners, for every $30 you make cloud mining, you would actually return about $50 if you bought an equivalent terahash amount of an ant miner, for yourself. Now, that takes into account average electricity costs, but it does not take into account a few intangible things that you don't have to deal with cloud mining. So for example, if you have an ant miner, you're going to need a 220 outlet instead of your regular wall socket, which is 150 or whatever it is. You're going to need a 220 outlet to maximize your ant miner output. You're going to need a cooling system, refrigeration, whatever, to keep the thing cool. You're going to need a place for it. I'm sure you're probably not going to want it in your bedroom. So you're going to need to come up with a place to put it, especially if you have a family or something like that. You don't want the dog licking on it and all that kind of stuff. So you're going to have a special place for it, shelving, things of that nature. You're going to want ventilation. You need to consider the wiring, and all of the little ancillary things that go into owning a piece of an equipment like that. While you can recoup your cost, hopefully by the time you're done with the ant miner, you may not be able to as well. Because the way tech is, it can be obsolete before you know it, and then nobody's going to want it. They're going to want the cool new thing. So you've lost your initial cost, just like the cloud miners have. You also have to worry about, what if it breaks? Apparently Bitmain is not known for their warranty services and their customer service when it comes to servicing these ant miners. So if you have something go wrong with it, then you have that headache additionally to deal with as well. So while your profitability on paper with an actual ant miner is about 40% more than cloud mining, there's also headaches that come with it, or potential headaches that, to me at least, are worth the reduced payout. So just something to consider if you're thinking about actually getting one. Me personally, I would probably consider owning some rigs once I have enough money that I can hire somebody else to deal with them. Honestly. So until then, I'm just going to hire Hashflare and sites like that to deal with it and collect, my percentage and happily give them theirs. So again, this is still not bad money at all. It's not bad return on investment. You're not going to find 282% in many places out in the world. So this is very good. Hopefully the price of Bitcoin holds up and continues on its trend upward over time, which I think it will, and I'll discuss my thoughts on that in a separate video. But I think it's got a bright future ahead. But that's where we're at, and that's why I decided to go ahead and start reinvesting in Hashflare. I still want to get some Genesis and some MinerGate. MinerGate to me is looking pretty good. I did find out that they're a good hub for if you do have an ant miner or your own rig. This is kind of one of the sites that you kind of go to hook up with, and they just started offering cloud mining not too long ago. So they are seemingly a legit site. So just something else to keep in mind. So I might throw a couple of dollars their way and see how they do. But that's where we're at with that so far. So that's where we are. I will definitely give Hashflare a little bit more tender love and care going forward. especially after seeing those numbers. And we are going to see where our reinvestments get us over time. And we are going to go ahead and get these gains. All right, Bitstream out.